Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to solo Baron Rivendare as a Prot Paladin. And these runs are only about 12 minutes long, so they're very quick. And the main thing we're trying to farm here is the Death Charger's Reigns. This is one of the rarest mounts in the game. Currently it's a 0.1% drop chance. In Wrath, it will get buffed to a 1% drop chance. So you'll have to decide if you think it's worth it to farm it now or later. But you'll also get around 150 gold per hour if you're an enchanter, and you can also farm some Stratholme Holy Water at the same time, which is really nice for Hyjal. So you can do a couple things at once and get a chance at the mount, so that's pretty cool. And let's take a look at the talents. So the build I use for this is just my standard AoE farming build with Vengeance. Nothing too special there. And this is the gear I use. It's just lots of plate gear with spell power on it, basically. I don't bother with fishing for Tome of Fiery Redemption procs at all. I just leave it on the whole time because it kind of just slows you down if you're wasting time trying to fish for it. But the gear I'm using for this, it's gear I use for raiding for the most part. So like the gems and enchants and stuff, most of them are not optimized for farming. You can definitely add some more spell power if you have multiples of these pieces or all you do is farm. So you would just want to add like some runed gems instead of pretty much everything I have in here if you wanted to create a set just for farming. And so you're also going to want Superior Wizard Oil, Greater Arcane Elixirs, and Blackened Basilisk. All three of these consumes are going to give you an extra 100 spell power, and that's really going to speed you up in this, and they're all really cheap. They last a while too, and once you get this down, you're not really going to be dying, so you'll get full use out of all of those. So those are really good value to have. So let's hop into the run here. So first off, I like to use my Goblin Rocket Boots here just to speed this up a little bit. And you can see we can just skip all of this stuff here. We're just gonna hug the wall, get up to the gate here, and there's a small chance one of those mobs on the left side there in that final pack can be a little too close and actually aggro. It's pretty rare though. I've only had it happen like once or twice. So you can pretty much always just hug the wall and go straight past there. And here we're just gonna have to be dodging some stuff here. So there's gonna be gargoyles coming around. I think it helps quite a bit to have more of a top-down view for dodging all this stuff, but that will kind of leave you a little bit vulnerable to the gargoyles because you might not necessarily be able to see them as well. So just something to consider, but I think maybe not a full top-down view, but pretty close to a top-down view. I've found that to be pretty helpful for me in dodging everything, because anything you aggro in here, it's going to take you a little bit of time to kill it. Most of these mobs kind of suck to fight as a Prot Pally. They'll have like silences and anti-magic shells and stuff, so you really want to avoid fighting extra stuff. Just going to slow down your run anytime you have to fight anything. And it'll take some practice figuring out like the aggro range on all this stuff, but you'll figure it out pretty quick. And everything does move slightly in a like small patrol, so you'll have to sometimes you just won't be able to get by certain spots. You'll have to just wait a few seconds for something to move so you can just get through there. And so for Baroness, she's just gonna use Banshee Wail on you, so don't bother using Holy Shield on her. She's not gonna auto attack you. She can silence. You'll usually resist this. I got super unlucky in this run. I actually got hit by 2 of them. I don't bubble this because I want my bubble for the next boss. So that's why I've saved my bubble here. But if you have the pendant of the Lost Ages from Morgrim, that'll reduce your silence duration by 20%, so that's really good for this. And so you can see I took 2 silences. That's really rare. I think this is actually the first time I've taken 2. Occasionally you take 1, but usually you just resist it. And so just burn through her as quick as you can. Save your bubble. I recommend it for the next boss. And here, you gotta be pretty careful when you're going between these two packs. These ghouls and these necros can aggro pretty easily. You have to be pretty careful with that. And then don't pause on that wall at all. Even if there's a gargoyle coming, just run straight through it. If you pause on the wall, that ghoul will aggro you. And here, that ghoul I just aggroed, you can actually jump over him at a certain angle and he won't aggro for some reason. Like you'll literally move through his body and he won't aggro. I can only get that to work like maybe 25% of the time, so I typically just end up pulling him. Here, I'm using my Force Reactive Disc just to proc Vengeance, get some damage. And this boss, he will do a 10-second stun. Usually you'll resist it, but if you get hit by it with all this stuff on you, you're just gonna die. So that's why we've saved our bubble. In this one, I got lucky, I resisted it, but you want to have that bubble just in case. You don't want to be dying here. And using it on Baroness just saves you like a small amount of time. Here, you're really at risk of dying, so it's good to save it for this part. And here, there's a few ways you can go through this part. I just kind of do it based on wherever they're kind of standing at the time, but there's a ton of different ways you can go through this little maze here. So here, I didn't feel good about any of the positions anything was in, so I was waiting a little bit and waited for the right opportunity, got through there. And after I killed the last boss, I also re-equipped my rocket boots and I put on my figurine of the Colossus. That's gonna be useful for here with the Aboms, so we're just gonna pull all these Aboms right now. And I also have a rocket boot macro I can share with you guys, and that just uses rocket boots and then immediately equips better boots so that you never get caught with your rocket boots on in combat, basically. And normally these A-bombs proxy aggro really easily. Some of them didn't quite pull like they usually do for me, so I had to kind of go out of my way for some of them. But we're just going to bring them in this corner, and these guys actually do quite a bit of damage. So we're going to pop our figurine of the Colossus, and I like to actually just focus fire down like maybe 3 or 4 of them before I start tab target spreading my damage, because they do quite a bit of damage. And I've run into a couple times where if I was tab targeting right from the start, I eventually just died because they do so much damage. And a lot of that damage is going to come from this magic effect or poison effect they put on you. Stacks up to 3. You can see it ticks for a decent amount of damage, like 200 to 300-ish. But if you've got that on you the whole time, it definitely does a decent amount to you. So one note is we pulled all but one of these A-bombs, and I'll show you in a second why we did that. And also in this room, this is where you can get a ton of Stratholme Holy Water. So at this point, before you pull that A-bomb, you could go around and loot all of them if you want. For the purposes of this video, I just wanted to get to Rivendare as quick as I could, just to show you guys that. But if you want the Holy Water, that's your opportunity to grab it all. And so we're gonna take this A-bomb here, and we're spamming drink now. And we want to drink as soon as we get out of combat, make sure we're right by the door so we're ready for Ramstein. And just let him pat into you as soon as he aggroes you. Just get up from your drink and start killing him. And he's got a stun. So in this case, since I didn't have to use my bubble on the third boss, since he didn't stun me, I had my bubble here. So I popped my bubble to get out of that stun. I actually canceled it just to get some more damage so I didn't get the attack speed penalty from bubble. Might have actually been better in this case to just sit the full duration so I didn't take that second stun. I think the timing might have worked out in my favor there. But here, you don't want to use too much mana here, so try to keep around like 2,000. I actually maybe went a little too hard there, but try to keep around like 2,000, low 2,000s of mana, so that you're able to get through these guys real easy. And you can also just pop a major mana pot. Anytime you run out of mana, you'll get a decent amount of them in here, and you can buy some off the auction house. So major mana pots are a pretty good thing to use if you ever go in here. And so now that we've killed those, we can just fight Rivendare now. And Rivendare, nothing really special here. We're just gonna try to wait till our vengeance stacks before we pop all our cooldowns. And there's a good time to try to get some vengeance right here. You can throw on your force reactive disc, and most of the time you're gonna get a couple stacks of vengeance there. But I got pretty unlucky on my vengeance here. I only got it up to 2. And once you reach about 50-60% on them, you should just pop your cooldowns because they're not going to last the whole fight, most likely. So 50 to 60%, pop all your cooldowns, or just whenever you get 3 stacks of vengeance. And that's the whole run right there. Really quick run. This one was a 12-minute, 9-second run for me from the time I opened the gate to killing Baron. So now we're at the end, and we have a ton of mobs still up, and it's kind of a pain to run all the way back out to reset. So best way to do this is use a second account to reset you to the start of the instance. And if you aren't familiar with that, I'm just going to go through that real quick. So on a second WoW account, you're just going to invite yourself to a group. And what I like to do is normally I'm going to still be like low mana, low HP, all that at this point. Before I log out, I want to put on my rocket boots so the cooldown's ready when I log back in. And I'm going to be drinking and eating while I'm logging out. That'll save you a little bit of extra time. So we're going to log out on our main character, and then over here on the alt, I'm resetting the instance. So I just have a macro that I press to reset. You can also just right-click your character portrait and click reset instances. But the macro saves you a second or two, so I do that. And so then you just pop back over to your main character, log back in. And when you get back in, you'll see that you are back at the start of the instance, and it's going to be a brand new instance. So you can see over there, the magistrate is back up. So this is a fresh strat, and that's the whole run. So we get a quick 12-minute run. We get that nice, easy reset back to the start. And that makes this a really awesome, really fast farm. So that's everything. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.